DSLR camera trapping is considered to be a modern form of photography. Well, there is nothing modern around it because many of you would be surprised to know that the first ever camera trap images were taken nearly a century ago when F.W. Champion deployed his primitive technology called tripwire in the pristine landscapes of Kumaon, and he got some terrific records of tigers, leopards, and a host of other species. Now let us look at the current scenario. Why would you adopt camera trapping as a tool for your photography? Is it because the images look unique and you will just get an edge over your peers and probably you may just perform better at, say, photo awards? Well, my appeal to all the people listening to this podcast is that look at the bigger picture. As photographers, we play a very key role. In this role, we need to document the unseen natural world. It is also a role which pushes us to tell compelling stories. And at the end of the day, it's a role wherein we are meant to educate masses through the medium of our images. There's a plethora of wildlife which only moves around in the night, and DSLR camera trapping is the only possible solution to document those species. Having said that, there are a lot of species which move around during the daytime and you document them. But if you think of some of our iconic big cats, they are essentially nocturnal animals. And with the help of DSLR camera trapping, you can not only peep into the nocturnal world and take some unique perspectives, but there's some very important nocturnal behavior which you can target. So what essentially is DSLR camera trapping? It's like setting up a small jungle studio using a camera which is attached to a motion sensor, and any subject which moves in front of this motion sensor activates the camera instantly. These flashes are used to illuminate the subject when you're shooting after sunset. How do the flashes communicate to the camera? It's using these transmitters and receivers. So this process sounds very simple, and it is simple, but it is a painful learning process because you learn a lot through your failures and experiences in the field.
A common question asked is where to camera trap and how to choose the location. Unless you are working with permissions from the Forest Department on a government project, India is a stunning location for this form of work. Why? Because the country is teeming with wildlife outside protected areas. If you can get access to private properties in areas which are not a part of the forest land, you can start your experiments with traps right there. Your subjects can be simple, but your perspectives will be very unique. Camera trapping is a process-oriented activity. Location scouting will be the first step where you gather ground intelligence from the locals, be it the forest officials or the villagers. Developing the skill of reading the forest floors will help you to pick and choose the correct trails. Narrowing down trails is the key, but you should also bear in mind that the movement patterns of animal can change anytime. So having backup options for trails is as important. And for that, you may have to constantly scout the field area for finding fresh and new clues. Once the entire groundwork is done, put on your photographer's hat. Look for some location to place the camera, play around with your frames, compositions, and just go creative. And once done, it is a weight game. Be prepared for that. This is not a wildlife safari where you are producing a huge quantum of data. Images will be literally trickling down as drops of water falling from a closed tap. Camera trapping requires planning. At times, months and months of planning and brainstorming. I believe in thinking about each and every minute aspect of my project so that I am fully prepared on the field. And a perfectly planned project will prevent poor performance. And this is the 5P rule, which is the underlining rule which you should always keep in mind. And when your planning is not perfect, you should always be prepared to welcome worst outcomes. Equipment failure and damage is a part and parcel of camera trapping. But every failure makes you think on how to keep on innovating your rigs and gears. Development of rigs is a key factor in ensuring that your trap deployments are quicker and effective. Apart from the safety of your cameras, non-complicated housings and rigs will also ensure that you speeden up your deployment and increase your field productivity. Remember, every night is important. For example, if you are working with a 3-camera setup for 7 days, I would consider it as a 21-night project, as each camera is equal to 7 nights. Equipment failure is the last thing you would want for failure of your nights.
As a concluding statement, I would like to say that a lot of people believe that DSLR camera trapping is not the ideal form of photography. There are some thoughts that if a person is not living that particular moment and if you're not behind the camera, then what is the fun of shooting? I strongly oppose that argument because if photography is a form of art, creativity, and pre-visualization, then DSLR camera trapping is the extreme form of pre-visualization. Because while setting up a DSLR camera trap, when you are looking through this viewfinder, you are essentially staring into a blank frame and you are just imagining that if my subject will come in the morning or in the daytime or in the night, this will be my frame, this will be my composition. So everything is just left to imagination. If you want to know more about the finer aspects of DSLR camera trapping, do join one of my field masterclasses. It is a very, very enriching experience. I hope to see you on the field sometime.